In the Hall of the Mountain King was written by a composer named Edvard Grieg, and he is from Norway. We've been studying Bach, and Mr. Bach was from Germany, if you remember. So I'm going to show you Google Earth. If y'all have not played with Google Earth, this is so much fun. So we live in New Braunfels. Let's check this out. Have y'all done this before? And we're going to go for a flight here. Oh, we were already there. That wasn't very exciting. Okay, so here we are in New Braunfels. So now we're going to go to Norway, which is where Mr. Greig was from. And we're going to go check this out. So cool. Bam! So we went all the way across the Atlantic Ocean. If you remember our song, America the Beautiful, from sea to shining sea, one of those seas was the Atlantic Ocean. So Mr. Grieg was from Norway. Norway's just a little bit north of Germany, which is where Mr. Bach was from. And Mr. Bach is who we have been studying. So there's Germany right there. This is where Mr. Bach was from. And then Norway is where Mr. Grieg is from. So Mr. Grieg is the composer we are looking at right now. Mr. Grieg, you can just tell by his picture that he's a little more modern than Mr. Bach. If you remember, Mr. Bach was actually wearing a wig, and he had his jacket and his shirt was even a little more frilly. He did not have a mustache. You can just tell by the pictures. Also, speaking of pictures, what you're looking at right here is a photograph. It's not a painting. And so Mr. Bach's time, they didn't even have the technology to have photographs or cameras or things like that. So Mr. Grieg is living in a time where there were actually cameras. The old-fashioned camera is probably the one with the big at the end, right? But this is Mr. Grieg. And some kids in class have actually been likening him to Albert Einstein. And he does kind of have that look, and you can just tell it there's that time period. If you look at these dates right here, we are talking about the mid to late 1800s, and he passed away in 1907. So you can tell that those time periods are just, or you can tell the time period just from looking at this picture. So I want to show you a couple of things about Mr. Grieg. He played piano, and he wrote a lot of piano music. In the Hall of the Mountain King was written for both the symphony orchestra and then a piano reduction came around, which is one of the videos that you watched, or was the piano guy with the creepy staring at you eyes. Mr. Grieg loved fairy tales, and this guy right here, Hans Christian Andersen, you probably know some of his fairy tales, like The Ugly Duckling, The Snow Queen, Thumbelina. Mr. Grieg loved fairy tales. And you can tell by In the Hall of the Mountain King, it's pretty much fairy tale. So these are just some cool things about Mr. Grieg. Here's this picture one more time. So he's from Norway, and we just did it. So we live about right here, going across the Atlantic Ocean, and there is Norway. Then come back here. Here's a song fact for you. In the Hall of the Mountain King was commissioned to accompany a play. It took Grieg a year to complete, but the theater limited how long each number could be, forcing Grieg to change his work. Many years later, Grieg was able to re-orchestrate the music. That was just a lot of words to say that he got a job to write this cool song, and the people who wanted him to write the song had a whole bunch of rules that he had to follow. And sometimes musicians don't like to follow the rules. So anyway, that is a song fact about In the Hall of the Mountain King. Here's a quote that I like from him. Words sometimes need music, but music needs nothing. So think about that next time you're kind of zoning out and piecing out and listening to music and thinking you don't always need words. Sometimes you just need to feel how you feel, and music can help you do that. There's Mr. Grieg. Bye-bye.